4 bizarre battles that took place where you'd least expect. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Massive Phenomenon. 4. A brutal battle on American soil. The United States hasn't fought a foreign power on its mainland for centuries. Now you might wonder about the Civil War, when the Union fought the Confederacy. And if you want a real foreign power, not a civil insurrection like that, foreign fighting on American soil goes back even further. Pearl Harbor doesn't count either, as the Americans in Hawaii on that fateful day in 1941 were merely trying to save themselves from an attack. But during World War II, there was one far lesser-known fight that occurred on American soil. While most of the fighting occurred in Europe, there was one scary skirmish that happened on American land, the Battle of Attu. This battle took place in May 1943 on Attu Island, which is part of Alaska's Aleutian Islands in the North Pacific. At the time, the island had a population of only 40 people. The Japanese attacked the islands in June 1942. They intended to set up bases and advance further into North America from the north. After that, it took a year for the U.S. forces to reclaim Attu. On May 11, 1943, around 12,500 American soldiers were sent to the island. There, they engaged in a 2-week-long battle against the Japanese forces. Despite the small size of the island, the fighting was fierce, and the terrain was harsh. The battle took a toll on both sides. Over 1,700 American soldiers fell to enemy forces, and another 2,100 U.S. troops succumbed to diseases and non-battle injuries like frostbite, trench foot, fevers, and even starvation. The conditions became so dire that some soldiers resorted to throwing grenades into the sea to catch fish for food. 3. A British Great Lakes naval skirmish. The War of 1812 remains one of America's lesser-studied major conflicts. It involved a vicious fight against the British, of course, and several battles in that war occurred in unexpected outposts. Take one event in 1813 where 6 British ships were sighted in Lake Erie. They had been there to reclaim control from American forces. Despite the British having better long-range weapons, the Americans possessed more ships armed for close combat. Initially hindered by unfavorable winds, the Americans eventually gained an advantage when the winds shifted in their favor. That enabled them to engage the British in battle in the Great Lake. The American flagship, the USS Lawrence, suffered heavy damage. Another one of its ships, the USS Niagara, failed to make much headway in the fight. Stranded and defenseless, the Lawrence's crew faced casualties and loss of firepower. And yet Captain Oliver Perry and a few of his crew members managed to navigate the Lawrence through British attacks and safely reached the Niagara. There, he assumed control of the sister ship. Although the British initially seemed close to victory by severely damaging the Lawrence, the undamaged Niagara swiftly penetrated their ranks. With the assistance of smaller gunships, it surprisingly tore through the powerful British fleet. 2. The misnamed Battle of Tannenberg. When it comes to battles, they usually get their names from the location or the cause. That would seem simple enough, and down throughout history that's always the way it's been. However, the 1914 Battle of Tannenberg very much breaks that pattern. Surprisingly, it didn't occur in the German city of Tannenberg at all, and yet it was named after the Battle of Tannenberg in 1410, out of pure spite. In 1410, Slavic forces defeated the Teutonic Knights at Tannenberg. Basically, in that age-old war, the Germans lost to the Russians. Fast forward 500 years and a World War I battle between German and Russian forces took place in Allenstein, in what is modern-day Poland. The battle was totally different from the one 5 centuries before it. Still, the Germans proved they had very long memories. Maybe too long of memories, in fact. The Germans emerged victorious in the Battle of Tannenberg. They inflicted a brutal defeat on the Russians, who lost 120,000 men in the brutal fight. To compensate and to glorify German military strength, the battle was named for the earlier one. 1. An American Civil War battle was fought where? The American Civil War was, of course, a conflict fought between the Union and the Confederacy, and it ought to be very well known to those who have studied American history. However, during this war, an unexpected event took place: the Battle of Cherbourg. Located far from the north-south divide within the United States, Cherbourg is firmly across the pond in France, and yet the Americans duked it out off the coast there in a battle for domestic might. Yes, really. This naval battle occurred in June 1864 between the Confederate vessel CSS Alabama and the Union ship USS Kearsarge. The Alabama had been seeking repairs in France at the time. There, the Kearsarge discovered its presence. After several days, the captains of both ships agreed to a duel in international waters. Unfortunately for the Alabama, it was ill prepared for combat. Its ammunition was inferior for the fight. Many shells didn't work. The ones that did weren't enough to sink the Kearsarge. One shell even failed to explode after striking the enemy's stern post. Not great. Ultimately, the Union ship proved victorious. It caused the Alabama to sink, again in waters within sight of the French coastline. And though some crew members lost their lives, many were rescued by the Kearsarge and a British yacht. So at least the survivors had that going for them. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.